Ladies and gentlemen, CNN is currently imploding because Trump is getting so much done. Now, Trump has been in office just over a week, but it's easy to tell he's already gotten more done in 8 days than Joe Biden got done in 4 years. And so you all know that the mainstream media outlets like CNN can't just acknowledge and admit that Donald Trump is already making America great again. No, you see, of course, they have to put their progressive spin on everything. And this is exactly what they did just a few days ago when CNN's one and only Dana Bash listed off all of the terrible things that Donald Trump has already done so far. Take a look.
Believe it or not, it was just 4 days and not even 30 minutes ago that Donald Trump was sworn in as commander-in-chief. But in that very short period of time, he has drastically reshaped American life. We've talked a lot about the pardons of the January 6 rioters, overhauling the immigration system, but there's so much more. Here is just some of what we're talking about. A freeze on civil rights cases, recognizing only 2 genders, shutting down the Gun Violence Prevention Office, rename Mount Delaney and Gulf of Mexico, withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accord, DEI federal employees on paid leave, reassigned career DOJ officials, made it easier to fire federal employees, sent home 160 national security officials, withdrawal from the World Health Organization, all HHS public communications halted, paused NIH grant-making access. They're all big ones, but that's really big. Police reform agreements halted, broad investigations into the Biden administration. I know it looks small on your screen. We have it up there so you can walk up to it or look closely on your phone because there is a lot, and that is not even close to everything.
So, does she not know that this is exactly why everyone voted for Trump? I mean, just take a look at her list. This list is pretty much just a list of promises that Trump made on the campaign trail that now he's following through on. So, I don't think she realizes this because I get the impression that she's not the brightest bulb in the box, to say the least, but she pretty much just reported on all of the campaign promises that Trump has already upheld. So great, that's awesome. Thanks for the hard-hitting report, Dana. I'm telling you guys, these progressives are just completely delusional and totally out of touch with reality. But okay, so this is where today's video gets absolutely hilarious. Because CNN recently had another segment in which their numbers guy broke down Donald Trump's current approval ratings. And let's just say, this little dose of reality didn't exactly go over very well at CNN. Take a look.
This is a very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration, the way he's attacking things. And the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this.
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things, I think he is, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only...
I have a really hard time believing this.
This is 100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump's is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had in an entire first term, Kate Baldwin. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
You can just see the absolute anger and hatred on her face. She is pissed off that people are loving Donald Trump. And hey, by the way, if you are loving these videos, please make sure to subscribe to the channel because it actually does help a ton. But anyway, this CNN news correspondent is absolutely seething. She is so mad. And honestly, I know this is petty, but for me, this is one of the best parts about having Donald Trump back in the White House. People like her have actively worked to destroy our lives for decades. No borders, more crime, wear the mask, take the vaccine, you're a Nazi, you're a racist, blah, blah, blah. It feels so good to watch these people get their comeuppance in real time. And by the way, speaking of comeuppances, do you guys remember CNN reporter Jim Acosta? Here's a quick reminder.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and
Well,
so
that's
on.
true.
But
They weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood.
Right.
These were people. This was an actual, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may
Okay,
ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse
President,
me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
that you
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming down?
investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
Yeah, that's Jim Acosta. Well, guess who just suddenly, out of nowhere, left CNN? That's right, Jim Acosta. Now, to be fair, we don't know for sure if he was fired or laid off, or if he just decided to peacefully retire, although I highly doubt that. What we do know is that CNN is currently on the brink of implosion because no one watches them anymore. No one trusts them as a legitimate news source because they've been peddling progressive propaganda for God knows how long. And guess what? People are sick of it. No one is buying it anymore. In fact, check out this clip featuring Jim Acosta from just 4 days ago.
This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now, Jim.
So is this the clip that ultimately destroyed Jim Acosta's career? Well, I think it was a long time coming. But the point is, these members of the left-wing media establishment just have no idea how to cover Trump's nonstop successes. He's just delivering win after win after win, and America is loving it. His approval ratings are through the roof. It just can't be denied. Americans have wholesale rejected the progressive direction in which the Democrats have tried to steer the country. We don't want it, and we're sick of all the progressive baloney. Like, the fact that they actually pulled up this list of Trump's recent accomplishments, promises he made on the campaign trail, by the way, as some sort of attack on Trump just shows how delusional these people are. And so guess what? Now their progressive house of cards is coming crashing down. They've lost control of the country, no one trusts the left-wing mainstream media news outlets anymore, and every single day the Trump administration is getting this country back on track. And so here we are. If you're like me, you're as happy as a clam. And by the way, we all know that Trump is just getting going also. He's got a well-thought-out plan of action, not just for the first couple weeks in office, but for the next 4 years. So far, we've just scratched the surface. But hey, I want to know what you guys think about all of this, so please go down below and drop a comment. Please like the video, but only if you actually liked the video. Please consider subscribing because it really does help a lot. Thank you guys very much for watching, and of course, as always, stay safe.